All right. And we got Christmas lights. All right. So, hello, Happy New Year, all the holidays, and welcome. We're going to continue where we left off. Just give me a sec. All right. Um, just give me one more sec. All right. Uh, my name is Goran Mankic, and I obviously have no idea how audio works. Um, there are always some problems. Anyway, we're going to we're going to talk about um, what we did, uh, what is currently in the code, how did we get there, what parts of store we have, and what do we need to add. And it's mostly going to be a backend. So this is the uh, how to probably call it. This is where the tire meets the road, and this is all integration code, and it's not gonna be much coding per se. So let's start with what we have. Uh, right, um, this is a landing page where of our new blog site, and we didn't do that. Okay, so we have blogs. Um, Probably better word would be blog posts, but here we are, and we kind of simulate how adding a blog post will look like in a blog list, and we can do it all day, right? Once we refresh, we have our initial state that has three blog posts displayed. They kind of have a picture and blah blah blah. It's a lot of what is called mocking. This is not what our code is supposed to do in the end, but this is how it all should look like. And uh, we did some code to get here. Now let's just see how the code looks like. All right. This is source of all headache. uh, and in the browser, this is what we're looking at. So this render returns a React component that has other React and HTML components in it, and that is displayed on our screen depending how it's implemented. Naturally, there is more code here, and this is the result of um, designer that we've been working with at the beginning. Um, and this is how the term is mapped. How we mapped one list of pure data into another list, which is blog list UI, which has, based on that data, has a list of this paper and its children uh, in the view. That's basically the paper is what our blog post is for us in the front end in the browser. So uh, we mapped this, but we still, I didn't tell you where this comes from, and I'm getting there. Let's just take this store for granted. Where it comes from is actually this wheat store, and it does represent store here through the props. And I know that actually, I have a better example. Yeah, this is it. This is our initial state. Um, this is what gets displayed in those three blog posts. And this is the raw data that is being displayed. And I kind of lied about the amount of blog posts and the pages they are in because I wanted to display the. Actually, let me show you that. Right? So I wanted to display this. This is actually uh, when there are more pages than it says here, then you can click on this. If you're on a first page, you cannot click here because there's no page zero. This is how, uh, if you have like 5,000 blog posts, you're some newspaper agency or something, uh, you don't want all the blog posts with all their pictures to be downloaded because it's going to be huge. So you divide it into pages, and this is what is going on here. So uh, go here. So, right, if I say as it is at the beginning, it's this, but just leave it there to show it's active. Right? But this is the data that we are rendering on the screen, and this is how we are rendering it, this portion of code. And when we add something to that list, we do it by incrementing what is called ID. In a database, it's usually going to be a number. Uh, for the most, well, if it's SQL, then it's going to be a number. If it's uh, MongoDB, it's going to be a more complex. But I think it's enough that we in the front end for now say, okay, this is going to be a number, and generating unique ID is just incremented. So what we're doing here is uh, this data is going to end up here, just like if I did copy paste here, that would be basically the operation. And then we are saying, okay, from the store, I'm just interested in a block store, and set its list to the existing list, but the data should be extended with the existing data and a new blog post. This is what is actually going on here. We're extending a list and a list data. So um, um, oh my god, and the dog is going crazy. Um, so this is what is going on in the in the UI. Uh, we're taking this data, rendering it, and we add something. We're actually appending here, like we did something like this. Actually, we're starting with 11 here because first time it's going to be 10, then increment to 11. So this is going to be 11. And yeah, the title and content are going to be just on the left side and blah, blah, blah. That's why the content is what it is. So um, this is what is going on under the hood. Uh, and we can leave the UI. I think we covered it. But the store is a bit more complex. So let's start with what store is. There's detail and list because we have a blog list and a blog detail, the blog itself. And we have, they come in pairs. Where the first element or the element at the index 0 is the variable itself, where the data or object or I don't know, a number, whatever you put in there is going to be stored. And to store it there, although it's not wrong, but it's not going to produce what you want. If you do this, nothing would actually happen because this detail is not. If you just assign it, it won't tell the. Sorry, let me open that again. It won't tell this render, hey, I changed the data. How about you display that data on the screen? There is an update. And how you use it is through, let's say, no, this one is easier to start with. Um, so there are two cases when working with the backend from the front end. Either there's everything okay, or there's some error. And that's how all functions in a store are written. Either the operation of communicating with the backend was successful or not. So we do fetch it here, uh, compose the resulting response, and we call set detail of that result. This is what translates to this. Plus, it says, hey, all renders consider updating browser or screen. Right? Just put the new data on the screen. Somehow renders it. Right? I mean, no wonder the function is called render. Right? So this is the idea behind the store. These two is actually what's going on in in this set detail. Now, how this is achieved is a kind of out of scope right now. And to be honest, I'm not sure how it works all the way down. But this is why the store is special, not just because it's storing the data itself, but also it tells different renders and different components. Hey, there's data that changed. Do you need something updated or not? Because not is the valid answer. There is no update I need to do. So the operation of changing the data is cheaper. Not all code is going to render everything on the screen again. That's expensive in terms of resources. So If we succeeded in fetching the data, that's going to be the new result in this dot detail. And that's how these work. They work in pairs, right? This is how the detail is set. If the uh, whatever called the fetch is going to get the this result, so it can either ignore it or do something about it. But usually it's going to check if this true is if this is okay or not, right? If this is true or false. And that's because we're going to, for the error block, we're always going to say there's something wrong with it. Plus, we're going to, whatever is an error that's an object, make all that the contents of the object I'm returning. So that's what's going on here. And all the uh, other um all the other functions are similar. So, for example, there's a URL here that is also built like this one, but we're also sending some data to be because the function is called edit, and we're sending, for example, okay, we created a blog post which has a title with a typo in, so you're sending an update, and it's in this data. So this is how you send whatever you need to send. It's either one of the patch or post or delete, basically. And you're going to say which URL and which data you want to be sent. Uh, because there are differences in the methods being used. Patch can assumes that the object in the database in the backend already exists, and that you're sending just a partial amount of that object, just one, like either content or the title or changing or the image, right? That's all we have about in one blog post right now. So it's just gonna send an update. It's already created, and if it doesn't exist, it won't do. Right? It's not gonna create an empty object with just that what you've sent. It's gonna fail if there's no object already. So edit is actually much like remove, which is deleting the blog post. But you can see the resemblance between the get and delete. It's almost all the same. We're just calling get here and delete here, right? So let me, no, actually, let's leave it like this. This is useful. So all functions have a similar, let me call it a taste, the similar code, except this one is getting a list of blog posts. Why it's special is because it has a page and per page. Those are, um, if you say give me 10 blog posts per page, and I do have 500 uh, blog posts. That means that I have 50 pages of 10 blog posts each page. So that it kind of looks like turning a page in a book, right? Every page is 10 blog posts. Maybe for the layout we're having, the 9 actually would be great because it's 3 by 3. So we're telling it in the headers, put these headers page and per page, and by default they are this. If I don't uh, display, if I don't pass an argument for a page and per page, take this as a default value. So just calling fetch all is the same as calling fetch all 09. Okay? And um, uh, yeah, the rest is actually the same. I'm I'm using the get to get the list, and I'm telling it how much and which page. The rest is pretty familiar, right? We're using set list because list is coming in pair with a set list. And in every function, I'm returning result of that operation. Why I'm doing this return every time is because there can be multiple calls to the same function, which will result with only one value stored in the store. Now, this sounds stupid, but yeah, only the last value will be actually stored because all the previous values are going to be overwritten. Now, if you say uh, const result equals fetch, is that all right? And later I say result dot okay. Sorry, no. If result is not okay, then do something. Display some warning, some error, something. Do something about it. So that's why we have this return, because for every call we want to be aware if there was a failure or not. And if there was, we want to display that error. We want to display all the errors that happened because one page can request multiple endpoints from the backend. So this is what is going on here in the store. We have a bunch of functions that actually don't work right now because there is no backend where they can get all this data from. And that's where we come to a point where we want to say, okay, we have this. Front end is running as something something. Doesn't really matter. But we want front end and back end running. That's a different beast. And so we stop this. Uh, and this is actually the layout of my project. Now it's becoming a project. It's not just the one service, um, one language, right? Now there is a front end and back end is written in a different language, so they are represented as different services. Well, not yet, obviously. So if you're using Freenit, and I recently published this version, that means that you can say, I'm creating a blog and it's going to be SQL based. That means the database is going to be SQL one. We're going to talk about databases more in the backend. Uh, well, somebody is going to talk about it. Uh, and the idea is that we're creating, um, well, that was fast. We're creating backend for the blog. And I called it blog, and then, I did this before. intentionally, because then the rest of the code of the config is going to be named blog, right? Just like the project. But actually, that's not going to be the whole project. That's just going to be one service uh, in this, well, website service, whatever. Uh, and then backend is gonna do quite a lot. So let's first initialize it. Always for the backend and for the front end, both. You can run bin init, bin devil, and it's gonna do the right thing. Hopefully, there's always bugs around, but right, either backend and front end they work like this. They're going to do the different things, hopefully the right ones. But this is how you start a backend and front end. We're going to have to start both of them at some point, and at a very special way, because just by running backend, frontend doesn't know where it is. Okay, just let me click here and take you. So this is all the requests that our browser already made to the backend. So you can see that it's useful for debugging and development. And this is not going to be there probably in production, right? You don't want all the noise. Now, if we go to that URL, this is what we get. There's a bunch of endpoints in the, well, let's call them groups, and these are all the schemas that are used. When I say schema, that's how the data is being sent, what's the type, and so on. If there's something nested, right, it's shown like this. So ideally, the Swagger which we're looking at, because it says so here, uh, is quite a standard today to describe your API. Actually, this open API.json is what's pretty standard, and then Swagger as a framework knows how to read that JSON and displays this. This means that if I log in with default user that is created, I get something. I'm not gonna go into that now, but what it means is that we can try out. So this is where page and per page comes from, right? So we don't even have blog posts yet, and today's goal is just to do login and let integration works. Uh, that's our goal for today. When login works, everything else is peachy, because that's the base of our application, of our security, of, well, our everything. So before you execute the query to the backend, you can see what kind of data you can expect. Not all these are going to be displayed at all times, but right, this is what we have, because we don't have roles, we don't have this part, and so on. So this is the data that we're getting by listing users. And this is what we want to achieve with our uh, front end. And this login that is already built into backend and front end of the Freenit is now integrated. Now, let me tell you a little bit more about what it means. First, I don't think, I know I have to run two services, like in two terminals, and there is this something called TMUX, which is short for terminal multiplexer. Whenever you hear multiplexing, that's uh, selling you like two for one. Running multiple instances where they normally don't run, right? You cannot run multiple shell instances in your uh, terminal and expect them all to be active. But here you can do that. You run Tmax, and when you press Control, release it, and then C. No, that's not the one I want. Uh, Control B and percent. You're going to divide this terminal into two. And obviously, I want front end here and back end here. If I press Control B and then right arrow, the arrow, right, pointing this way and pointing that way, and that's how I switch between the two. So I said, if we start, I already, no, let's go the full circle. If I run init here and init there, let's see what happens. All the dependencies should be pulled in, updates if there are, and then while front end is doing init, I can run bin devil on the back end. Obviously, I'm gonna wait quite a while. I don't know why. I guess there was some update. Maybe the node or yarn updated on my machine. Anyway, the left side of screen looks like before. There is a Swagger and Redoc. We're going to use mostly Swagger, but this is here just so you can uh, have a different view on your database, on your backend REST API. So yeah, let's go like this. Let's say I don't have any tabs open in the browser, and this is what the backend currently looks like. Not much to see, right? Because it's not visual stuff. What? Come on, seriously? I have npm. Why do I have that? Okay, so sorry about this. This is going to take a while, but I'm going to talk about the problem that we're going to face. I had to delete the node modules and store it again, so you're not missing anything in a terminal. I mean, anyway, uh, what happens with authentication under the hood is that this API v0 auth login is going to be used to send data. That data is email and password, And what we can expect in return is this. Access token, access. When does the access token expire? In how many seconds? And the same with refresh. What happens under the hood is that refresh is valid only on this endpoint, and it serves the purpose of sending refresh token and getting another access token back. And login is going to send you both access and refresh token. What's the difference? Access is like 15 minutes valid, and refresh token is valid for I don't know, a year or some really long period, and it can be tuned, of course. So this is what we need to use, but let's actually do it one more time. Actually, let me do it with the wrong user. This is what we're getting. 403, no such user, or wrong password, right? It's forbidden, right? But okay, this is security wise, it's good to display the same message for the when there's a wrong user or wrong password, because otherwise, if the message is different for a missing user from the message for the wrong password, then you can DDoS the service and then collect when does it say there's a user there, but there I missed the password. So somebody can kind of badly, but still get some hints from the data or from the database. Uh, and for today, just this login is what we're dealing with. All right. So, in um, what? How does it know? Oh, okay. So I just started the. Let me actually. This was done, and this is what I'm starting right now. Right. So in the end, I'm gonna click. No, I'm not. It's gonna open on its own. All right. So once you start the front end this way, it's gonna try to start your browser with this URL, and then this is what I get, right? So it opened this, but let me show you the problem. Now I'm typing in the right password, but still there's some gibberish going on. Okay, now let's see what's actually going on. I do send this and I get 404. Now, this is not something um, that the backend is returning. And how do I know? Well, because it says so. Response codes, or when something is wrong, is 403, not 404. Uh, so I know that this is coming from somewhere else. It has to, right? And where is it coming from? Is let me just show you. Uh, all right. Um, it here. Right. I'm telling it that everything you send, please actually send with prepend with API v0. Okay, so when I when I say slash blogs, that means slash API slash v0 slash blogs, and that's the whole URL. Well, the whole path, not still the whole URL. And this is how I'm creating the REST API because that's our root and so on. Now, what we're actually getting is that there is no slash API route here, and we're actually getting nowhere. Why that is happening is the proxy, right? So we're telling it that one of the special routes is slash API. Anything starting with the slash API should be treated in a special way. And this is how we tell it just send it to the backend, actually. And how does it know where the backend is? Through this variable called target. Where does this slash API should go to? This is the target. And it originates from environment and the environment variable called backend URL. Now this might not be set, and actually it's what's going on here in our example. So we need to run front end in a special way because if it doesn't find a target, this is not going to be active. All right. So let's tell it where the target is. And how do I know that? Backend URL is something something, and it's actually this up to the slash doc. I'm gonna copy it here, and then I'm gonna run the front end again. And this is just for the devil script, the development one. The rest are quite fine. Don't request anything from the backend. So, right. Okay, so it opened another tab and it says I'm logged in. Right, that's false. So, no, actually, that's true. Do you know why that's true? Because I logged in here. Cool. So, no, actually, that shouldn't be true because the port is different. But, all right, it works. And we have something here different once we log in. There, well, this is the dashboard that we're looking at. There's a list of users, and wow, this has gone to. Okay, so this is very crude example of what a list looks like. And it's the same for roles, but there are no roles. We are not creating. Oh hell! I know what this is. Okay, I'm gonna fix it for the next lecture. This should be a circle, blue circle, which is becoming darker when you hover it. But yeah, there's something with the Material UI, React, and Themes that I'm not gonna go into. Anyway, what you get is really simplistic page for the profile. The dashboard roles you already seen, and when you go to the logout, this icon is gonna change. So you don't have access to the dashboard anymore. All right? Now let's log in again. All right. Now we're going to just show that this works and that we are still able to do all the old stuff. Just, uh, just there's a login working right now, and I would stop here. This is really a lot to take in. I know. Uh, you will see over time with experience that integrations are always the hardest part. So believe me when I tell you that I know this is hard. That's why we uh, have store done for the second time in a row. It's a very serious uh, question of how do you handle data properly, and I'm hoping I'm telling you how to do it properly. Anyway, the integrating two pieces of software that need to exchange data is always hard. So uh, don't worry if you're overwhelmed with amount of information presented today. Uh, I just wanted to get to the login so you know what's going on under the hood, but this is not what I expect you to absorb in one lecture. Uh, Now there's going to be an update on the back end and the front end, and over time you will understand what's actually going on here, and that's what when it's advisable that you go back to this lesson and watch it again. I think it's gonna make more sense, and until then, well, watch us. I'm gonna make sure if you stick with me, I'm gonna make sure you understand it all. So we are Tilda Center. We're from Novi Sad in Serbia, and we were struggling to find a place for ourselves once the corona is over. And this is how you can help. We're through donations. We have always been self-funded. Uh, and we said that all our lectures are always going to be free. So please consider donating. Uh, I hope we will teach you something. Uh, that would be all for today. I hope you enjoyed and